Welcome back to another edition. Welcome back. Welcome back, friends, to another edition of Action Figure Obsession. I'm your host, Avian and Loaded. And if I don't have 250 subscribers by the end of next month, I'm going to say that. I'm going to talk like that all the time. So, sign up your friends. Thank you, by the way, for our 202nd subscriber. Signed on this morning, appreciate it, or as I like to call them, avian and loaded survivors, not subscribers. We're all just trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic hellscape dystopia, are we not? So, the subject of this video is our sponsor, which isn't really a sponsor. There's no paid advertising on this channel, and I laugh at the very idea. But I certainly wouldn't be here without my old pal Zero Sugar Mountain Dew. And before that, my old pal Diet Mountain Dew. But Zero Sugar Mountain Dew has even more flavor, even more caffeine, and 10 fewer calories than Diet Mountain Dew, which has 10 calories a serving. So if I pause and then start up again, it'll be because I need to take a sip. But as you can see, I've already had one, so we'll see how far that gets me. So we got a little bit of housekeeping to do here, and then I want to talk about the 5 most unlikely figures, I think, in my collection. We just did a video about the 5 mostly unwanted, mostly unloved figures in my collection. Boy, I dusted these all off, but I still see a big old dust bunny there between Cobra Commander, Coco, as we call him affectionately, his between his feet there, that big old dust bunny. And I never realized that they put those stupid little pieces of paper that are in the Marvel Legends in these things too. Are you familiar with these guys? If you've ever been in a Five Below or Walgreens, I've also seen them at some other discount stores. Ollie's, yeah, Ollie's definitely had these guys, and the Marvel version of them too. These are the 5 most unlikely figures in my collection, and we'll talk about that and why that is a little in a moment. But first, a little housekeeping. I've been doing some thinking, been thinking a lot, spending a lot of time wide awake and unable to sleep, so I've had some thoughts. And the conclusion I came to, I've mentioned that I wasn't going to include Bushwhacker here, and Gamerverse Punisher, and Gamerverse Nick Fury, and I think I might have added Gwen Stacy already, but Jigsaw definitely I just added. So we have a new number, friends. We have a new number. Drum roll, please. Best I can do. Well, that's a little better. The new number is 146. And if you're really clever, you'll be able to tell that that was 145, but I added everybody, and then I forgot to add Bushwhacker. So our most recent additions to the list of all the Shriners here on the Shriner convention floor, milling around, talking about how to raise money for the Shriners hospitals. I did actually work for the Shriners when I was a teenager, making phone calls, begging people to buy tickets for their circus. I have some affection for the Shriners. They got me through a couple of summers, and they do good work caring for children that have suffered horrific burns. So, genuinely, this is a plug for the Shriners and all their efforts. But I do think of this as a Shriners convention. The Shriners like to all get together and wear their fezzes and have some lunch and talk things over. And I'm sure it's a good time, and they also probably get some business done. Wow, I wasn't expecting to talk about the Shriners. But anyway, this sheaf of papers, if you will, and I think we are now at the end of page 4. I don't think there's any further to go. This sheaf of papers, remember that number, 146, this is just, and these guys won't be on there because they're going back in their proper place underneath my little circular table of G.I. Joes there, which has G.I. Joe Classified on the top, then some Super 7 G.I. Joes. You can see that Scarlett didn't want to stand up, so she's kind of taking a nap right now. But that big blank spot right in the middle of your screen there, yeah, that is where these guys live. And they have lived there for quite a few years, perhaps 4 or 5 years, and I had to get up and cross the room when I got them over here to get my handy feather duster, because holy cow, were these boys dusty. I don't know if it's the cardboard or the plastic that has attracted them, but yeah, very dusty. Well, anyway, these guys, the mostly 6-inch, we do have a couple 7-inch figures on here, right in the center of the screen there, way in the back, Doc Brown from Back to the Future. And I mean, there are some that are 7 inches like Rom, but he's a 6-inch scale. Rom is supposed to be 7 feet tall in the comics. Same with the old God of Thunder over there. But where is that? Oh yeah, there's a 7-inch scale Spider-Man, the PS4 Marvel Select Spider-Man. So there are 2 7-inch scale, I think only 2 7-inch scale figures on the work table. And I think most of the rest of them, with the exception of, grandfathered in, are the Battle Android Trooper and the Snake Eyes from the 25th anniversary of A Real American Hero, the 3 3/4 inch line. Those were among the first videos I did on this channel, so if you're curious why they're here, it's kind of in honor of the fact that that Action Figure Obsession would not even exist without them. And also, I just have no place for them in my figure collection. And if I put them like on my Snake Eyes, my shelf of Snake Eyes, 6-inch Snake Eyes, that's like 40 strong, I mean, you're not even going to see these guys because they're only 3 3/4 inches tall. Okay, there's a Snake Eyes. We'll talk about him in a minute. So, are you having fun? Is this fun? It's fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. Before I did this, I watched some of the last video I did, the 5 mostly unwanted and unloved figures in my collection. And I watched it. I'm like, you know what? I can tell this guy is having fun. So, maybe that's why you stick around. It can't be because this is informative or helps you. Well, it might help you with your purchasing decisions. More likely, it might be helping you with some kit bashing or painting ideas or whatever. Like the time I painted, Tony Masters' shield down there. That used to be a translucent Captain America plasma shield from Commander Rogers. I really enjoyed doing that, just kind of moving the camera. Yeah, and then we talked about Rom, and then we talked about, the Punisher on the Legion body, and then we talked about, what did we talk about then? We talked about that awesome wooden wall hanging thing that I have that weirdly, I think is supposed to be the Avengers, but it has, all these headshots, and they're all by different artists, which really is bizarre to me. Well, not all, but like the Black Widow in the center is clearly George Perez from that Black Widow story that he did in Marvel Fanfare. Captain America clearly is Jack Kirby. I'm not sure who inked that. Spider-Man very clearly at the bottom, and that's probably from their marketing artwork that Spider-Man had. Clearly John Romita Sr. The Hulk, I believe, is either Marie Severin or Herb Trimpe and Marie Severin, but the one closed eye makes me think maybe it's Marie Severin. Thor, clearly Kirby with Vinnie Coletta inking it. And then I think Iron Man is George Tuska. I think so, because of just the thickness of his head, the width of his faceplate. I think that's George Tuska. But it's fascinating to me when Avengers was the thing, that they put this poster together instead of finding just, an image of the Avengers that would be suitable for, a wooden, it is wooden or particle board, whatever you want to call it. I think this was like $15 at some racist, overly religious hobby shop that I won't tell you the name of. But, yeah, that one's just canvas, on a frame behind it, the Amazing Spider-Man one. And that, gosh, I always thought that was Romita Sr., but now I'm wondering. I don't know that pose is very Romita-esque. I don't know who did that. If you know, let me know in the comments where that. I'm sure they just grabbed it from a panel or a splash page in a comic book. I'm guessing Romita Sr. with Mike Esposito inks. That's what I'm guessing. I'm not really the world's biggest Mike Esposito expert, but yeah, I like this poster a lot. It speaks to me, but it's just funny to me that it's, so many different artists, and then they put all this like blotchy, splotchy pop art kind of stuff on it and make it look weathered and aged and damaged, and somehow it works. By the way, the King in Black Venom says hi. The beginning of Real Spring says hi. It's going to be in the 50s here today, and I went outside for a minute a little while ago, and yeah, you can't really see out there too well, but there is a little bit of sun, and it is, in fact, feeling kind of warm. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping just to sort of bring you up to date with the whole, because I actually got a comment from a new commenter. I'm not sure if they subscribed or not, but it was from someone new that I had not seen in the comments before after I did the video about the original coming up with counting the figures back when I think they were at 133. Was the final count. I think after that first video, the whole video is about nothing but counting the figures and why they're on the work table and all that. I did get a comment saying that it was fun, or words to that effect, or that they were really enjoying it, and that kind of blew my mind. I mean, if an action figure video about just me, just counting figures and telling you how many I have, because here's the thing, and if you are new to the channel, you may not know this. This is not my action figure collection. I mean, these are figures in my action figure collection, and some of them, like my Gray Agency guys, my kit bashes of the Gray Agency, and my kit bashes of the Mad Scientists here, and my Elvis Beyonder, you know, I cherish them. Certainly my 12-inch Marvel Legends that are there mint in box because I don't really have room to display them, and they look better in the box than they do loose, and unless I really have a nice display area for them. But that isn't my collection. My collection is mostly, and pardon the fan there in the way, but that tan bookcase in the center of the screen, that's got about 379 G.I. Joe classified figures on it. Well, actually a little less than that because there are a couple of other down in the center of the screen. That's all G.I. Joe stuff. And then the Marvel stuff is over there. There's about 1,000 figures in the collection, and I'm not even counting these guys when I say that, so I guess we actually are up to about 1,100 and probably 1,140, somewhere around there. It's absolutely an obsession, isn't it? But anyway, yeah. So the bookkeeping, housekeeping, just letting you know that, page 1 here gets us from 1 to 53. Page 2... and you're gonna have to pause this and really zoom in. I'm not gonna go through this all again like I did the other day. But page 2 is number 54 through 85, and then page 3 is number 86 through 119, and then page 4, which is soon to be replaced because there's only room for a couple more after Bushwhacker there. But page 4 is 120 through 146, and again, that's just all of the figures, the little ones. The little ones, the big ones, all the figures, except for these, because this is the photo area. It's always temporary when they're over here. If somebody's staying here full time, something has really gone wrong and I'm out of control. But all these guys right here, what did I say, 140, 146? Yeah, so 146 is the current number, including our old friends Elvis Modoc and Doc Brown over there, who we talked about in the previous video, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now I will take the sacred, let's call it a paper spreadsheet, analog spreadsheet, and I will put it over here because that is where my my pile of notes and like my complete handwritten listing of my G.I. Joe figures also resides, usually. But right now I moved it to somewhere else, and you don't need to know why. Okay, so this, my friends, 13 minutes into the video about these. This is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Olympus series. All right, I think all of you now have just said, even most of those of you familiar with G.I. Joe Classified series, you've now just said in your head, the hell is the G.I. Joe Olympus series? Well, this is it, baby. This is it. And to the best of my knowledge, these are all the figures in the G.I. Joe Olympus series. The G.I. Joe Olympus series is a budget-minded action figure series, or just one wave, I think, or maybe it was 2 waves, designed for children, obviously. These are very limited in articulation. I think not even 5 points of articulation on Roadblock here. I don't think his hands rotate or anything. I think so. He has his. It looks like there's a swivel on his neck joint, and then it looks like the arms go up and down. And I'm not going to take these out of the package because I think that would kind of spoil the fun of them. It's just the fact that they exist. I mean, if I had unlimited display space, I'd probably open these guys all up and put them in some kind of a display. But as it is, I'm pretty sure there's only ever going to be these 5. So I can't see the point in taking them out of the packaging. It really does no harm. And it keeps a little dust off them because there was much more dust on the packaging and in the little area there inside of it between their feet, there was a lot more dust in those areas than there was on the figures themselves. So I did get out my my measuring tape. Yes, I am a man, and I have a measuring tape that is generally thought of as being for, I guess, I don't know. I have it anyway, and it helps. You know, it's useful for an action figure obsession. That's one. You know, one of these days I have to do a video about, you know, the tools that you need if you have an action figure obsession. What else have we got here? Anything? What was something else? Wasn't there? Oh yeah, this one here. Yeah, there. Thingy there. And, this is the perfect symbol of action figure obsession. I didn't stick it there, but it ended up there. This is a Sharpie marker, which is sometimes useful for your action figure obsession. It's what my G.I. Joe analog spreadsheet was written in. And then a little ball of sticky tack that I took out of somebody's neck joint when I moved a head onto a different figure and it no longer needed sticky tack. And usually when I have just a tiny little ball of the sticky tack, eventually I'm going to need it again, so don't bother putting it away in the sticky tack baggie. I make sure this is relatively clean here and not dirty and dusty, and I plop it on there, and then when I need a little tiny ball of sticky tack, there it is. And so these are my really tiny tools, and I just keep them all right on here, close to hand. And this is for the air conditioner, which I'll probably need, certainly if not by the end of today, then within the next few days. So the Olympus series is a budget line for children. Oh, and I was going to look at ages 4 and up. So these are safe for children 4 and up. Some of them come with accessories like this rifle that, well, first of all, I should tell you about the measuring tape. I did use it to measure these guys. They are approximately 9 inches tall, and they all look like they're the same height. I'm guessing they're all exactly 9 inches tall. It could be a little under, but these designs for the G.I. Joe, Hasbro G.I. Joe Olympus series are, I think in all cases here, and by the way, there's a couple other ones that I sometimes see on eBay that are listed as being the Olympus series, Destro and the Baroness, but those are not the Olympus series. Those are 4 inches, and they are not very good quality. I did find them at Five Below one time, and I decided I didn't want them because they're not even as good as this. So we have, it looks to me like 3 points of articulation on Roadblock here. The neck swivel, so he can look around. Hey, Duke, what do you think? Hey, Storm Shadow, what are you doing here? And that's about it. The interesting things to me are the fact that he comes with the accessory. He has the rifle, which he will only ever be able to hold down at his thigh level, because these arms, well, the arms do look like they swivel up. So, yeah, I guess he can hold it straight up in the air or straight out, or, you know, anywhere that his arm can go. I'm sure the arms have a 360-degree rotation. Interesting that the designs are the same as G.I. Joe Classified as far as the outfits go for all of them. There is a G.I. Joe Classified figure that is almost identical to the designs you see here. And yet he doesn't have the tattoo. I wonder if that was considered not appropriate for ages 4+, because the G.I. Joe Classified series Roadblock, most or possibly all of them have that lion tattoo on his left shoulder, which I wouldn't mind if it wasn't for the fact that it crosses over from the deltoid to the bicep. So if you turn the bicep swivel, it breaks the image and makes it look like a very bad tattoo. Not much paint on these guys, I guess, for Roadblock's face here. I don't know. Either it's cast in his flesh. It's not cast in his flesh tone, because you can see that it's a difference between the neck and the arms, which clearly were cast in his flesh tone. So I think the face is painted, the flesh in his face is painted, and is there a different paint on the lips? Are they the same? It looks to me, it could just be the lighting, it could be shadow. It looks to me like there might be a lighter shade on his lips, but his eyes are probably tampography, and then the eyebrows and the mustache and, well, the goatee, or beard, I guess it is a full beard, are all painted on. And it looks like his face and head are painted as well, because you can clearly see, you can't see it as clearly when you're out from under the studio lighting, but boy, it's obvious now when I have them under the studio lighting. Hey, we're in the studio, gang! Oh, it just came right out of me. Studio lighting, that's hilarious. Yeah, the toy room lighting, I guess, would be more accurate. Boy, it looks like he has a tattoo on his bicep there, doesn't it? But it's just those manly. Oh my God! Look at the gun show, and then the gun show. And also, well, anyway, he's about 9 inches tall. Very little paint, mostly on his face. I think everything else. Well, the hands might be painted, although they could be glued on. It's hard to say. No paint whatsoever on his drawers, as Grandpa used to say, and none on the boots. And I don't think there's a boot swivel there. There is a line that is sculpted, but I don't think there's an actual swivel for old Roadblock here. Next in line is the field commander of G.I. Joe, and I see some more dust on here. Get rid of that. Duke is the field commander of G.I. Joe, real name Conrad Hauser. I don't know the real name of all the G.I. Joes, but it's always been fascinating to me that Duke's real name sounds like maybe his grandpa might have been on the wrong side in World War II, if you know what I'm saying. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. This Duke is definitely based on the same design as the first Duke in the G.I. Joe Classified series line. He too has the rifle. By the way, this rifle, I meant to mention this when I was looking at Roadblock. The rifle actually looks like it's scaled for a 7-inch figure, like a 1/10 scale 7-inch figure. I realize the difference between 7 and 9 inches isn't that big a difference. That's what she said, but I don't know. I think I could fudge that rifle. Maybe I'll take the rifles out. I think I could fudge that rifle with some of my 7-inch figures. Certainly a 7-inch Spawn. So anyway, yeah, Duke is Conrad Hauser, his real name in the G.I. Joe lore. There was some discussion when this figure was released in the 6-inch, the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified series in 2020. There was some discussion that he bore something of a resemblance to Woody Harrelson. And I can see it. Can you see it? Little Woody Harrelson going on? Like right there, Woody. Pour me a beer. Yep. And he too, it appears, looks like he has the 3 points of articulation, the swivel on the neck, and then the 2 swivels at the shoulders. I don't see any other articulation. Looks like everything is cast in green from the waist down. I think the belt appears to be cast in a darker shade of green, but it could just be all the texturing that's throwing me off on the pants. Hard to say. Obviously, both of the weapons for these figures is cast in a not entirely unattractive gray plastic. Oftentimes, when Hasbro does gray weapons, they use that really super light, almost translucent gray. But that doesn't look too bad. I would find that acceptable. I might add a little silver or black to it with a paint marker, an acrylic paint marker, just to zhuzh it up a little. But yeah, Duke here, Conrad Hauser III. He not too bad. It looks like Duke. It certainly looks like the classified Duke. As I say, these are all the same designs, or very, very close to them, but then scaled down or not as articulated as the 6-inch G.I. Joe Classified series line. And again, we are looking at the Olympus series from Hasbro's G.I. Joe department. And I'm assuming that they're probably sculpted, designed, created in some aspect, probably share the same creative team as the Classifieds, at least the designers, because again, these are very, very close to what we got in the G.I. Joe Classified line. I think that's a feather from the feather duster that I used to dust this guy out. All right. So it's Coco, Cobra Commander, the man whose tombstone, when he finally bites the dust, will read his most famous battle cry, Cobra, retreat! Love me some Cobra Commander. This staff that he has, this Cobra staff, I think there is a Cobra staff that came with the Snake Supreme Cobra Commander. So if I'm right about that, it could be the same design. I don't think it's the same sculpt because it's a little too big. That's what she said. But she never said that, believe me. But yeah, I could be confusing it with the Super 7 staff that comes with their Super 7 Cobra Commander, Coco. as he's affectionately known. No chrome paint on the faceplate, but it is a pretty good reflective silver. I don't mind that. And sometimes when I'm doing action figure photography, I prefer it because the chrome paint can really mess up your pictures because you're actually seeing real stuff reflected in it. You got to be careful what you're doing. Coco also appears to have 3 points of articulation, the shoulders and the neck. Obviously, none of these come with alternate heads or any other. One accessory I think is most you can hope for. He's got a sculpted on pistol here and a sculpted on dagger. Let's get some light on that subject. He's got a sculpted dagger on one thigh and a sculpted pistol and holster on the other. I really like the... I wish we could get this kind of intensity, and it's looking a little pink on camera, but it's vivid, bright red to the naked eye. This Cobra symbol on his chest, I wish we got that kind of quality in the G.I. Joe Classified line. That just looks superb. No stripe, by the way, on the stripey thing on the top of his helmet, which I think we do get a stripe on that in G.I. Joe Classified when they do this look, but I don't think we get one on the Super 7. I think the Super 7 one might not be painted, or either that or the alternate heads stripey thing on the helmet isn't painted. Not 100% sure on that. I don't know, this is interesting. We did 2 good guys, 1 bad guy. We're going to go to the second bad guy, and then we're going to go to the best guy of all. My one true G.I. Joe love. So this is Tommy Arashikage, also known as Storm Shadow. Arashikage is Japanese for Storm Shadow. Did you know that? I didn't know that until, like maybe last year. I think I learned that. So Tommy Arashikage goes back and forth between being a good guy and a bad guy. Sometimes he aligns himself with the Joes. Sometimes he aligns himself with the bad guys in Cobra. Clearly here, we know who he's aligned with. And again, like with Cobra Commander, that is one hell of a tampographed logo that he's... Well, the other one is... Coco's is sculpted and painted. This one looks like it's just tampography, but it's very nice tampography. I like it. I dig it. This 9-inch Olympus Series Storm Shadow comes with a sword. And let's see if we can... there's the sword. Looks like it's the same sword that comes with Snake Eyes over there, his fellow Arashikage clan member. He has... a bandolier with some shuriken on it, but clearly they didn't care enough to paint the shuriken. This probably was the easiest one at the factory. Very, very little paint on this guy, almost none. I think that it looks like the whole figure is cast in white, and then the arms and the neck and the flesh tone on the face, which all match, which is why I think that they are paint. Because it's pretty clear in some spots. You can see where the paint is a little sloppy going up into his pauldron on his shoulder there. There's a little too much flesh paint touching the white there. So it looks like this thing starts out all white, and then they allow a little bit of color in it. Kind of like America. Did I say it? What? What did you say? Nothing. I said nothing. This too is obviously 4+. All these guys are 4+. And Tommy Arashikage, Storm Shadow, probably in my... He's not my top G.I. Joe character. He might be my top Cobra character. And he's certainly in my top 5 of all, G.I. Joe and Cobra guys. My number 1 guy. Yeah, I do like Storm Shadow quite a lot. My Mezco Storm Shadow is one of my favorite action figures of all time. Hey, you know what? Make a note. That would be a great idea for, my 5 favorite action figures of all time that I still actually have in my collection. That would be good. Sadly, I did trade some of them away or sell them off. But Storm Shadow looks good here. The white has held up well. I've had all these guys for, I want to say, anywhere between 4 and 6 years. In between, I don't know, we all know I bought Snake Eyes first. Of course I did. He's always the drug. Snake Eyes is the drug you're thinking of. And then I saw the rest of them, and I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to collect these guys, just because they're fun and they're cheap. If they were just fun but expensive, I would not have collected any of them, with the possible exception of Snake Eyes. if they were not fun, and I don't know, I was going to go through the whole thing, but because they were fun and they were cheap, and it's a GI Joe, it's a really easy to collect. You can collect the entire line of these figures for $50 or less. It's a good deal. And listen, at some point in your life, you may have a little kid who's like, "Oh, Storm Shadow, I want to play with Storm Shadow. I want to play with Storm Shadow." You give him the goddamn Storm Shadow. Cut him out of there. Give him the sword. As long as he's 4 or older, 4 plus. Remember. Do not eat the sword, Jimmy. Why is the little kid always named Jimmy in your scenarios, Avian Unloaded? I don't know. Jimmy Olsen? Wish it into the cornfield, Jimmy? I don't know. But yeah, Storm Shadow looks pretty good. He can hold his sword. Looks like he has the requisite 3 points of articulation. It's funny that all these guys have exactly the same articulation and all that have exactly the same height, and yet no, there's no reuse at all. There is no reuse at all of the bodies. Maybe the hands. I'm sure Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes probably have the same hands. Maybe not. And maybe Duke and Coco have the same. Well, no. No. Wait a minute. Now I'm seeing something else. No. I think I don't think the hands are different parts that are glued in. I think they're sculpted, but they look like they have a cut, which is kind of unnecessary. But it's entirely possible that they want gullible parents, or adult collectors to think these guys have more articulation points than they do. Because for all I can see, they only have the neck swivel and the shoulders. So finally, the big man. Moment of silence, man. Snake Eyes. He is G.I. Joe to me. I had the 12-inch G.I. Joes long before Snake Eyes ever existed, 20 years before Snake Eyes existed almost. When I was a little kid, 6, 7 years old, playing with my 12-inch G.I. Joes. There was no such thing as Storm Shadow. If there had been, it might have changed everything on it. Or not Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes. If there had been a Snake Eyes back then, late 60s, early 70s, man, my whole life might have been different. I might have stayed with G.I. Joe instead of leaving it for Mego in the mid 70s and not coming back to it until 2020, with the release of the first Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes figure, which you may recall I have mentioned that I got because I wanted to be able to pair him, since he's 6 inches, be able to pair him with my Marvel Legends, have Snake Eyes. Oh, there we go, little small. 0 days since the last mass casualty event. Gotta keep the camera up higher there, buddy. You just gotta keep it up higher. You're doing fine. Don't hate yourself. I hate myself. Yeah, if Snake Eyes had been around earlier, because he has just such an appeal for me. You'll note that he has the Arashikage symbol there, just like the classified version does. Tommy's Arashikage symbol is on his forearm, and he doesn't appear to be sporting it anywhere else. So, you might not know that they are clan brothers in the Arashikage clan. Looking around real quick, yep, it looks like the same 3 points of articulation, neck swivel and the 2 shoulders. He's got his sword, which is not his sword. It's just a sword. It is not the distinctive sword that we see in the G.I. Joe Classified series line, and sometimes in other media as well. One thing that I will point out about this guy, and I've talked about the little bit of paint that these guys have, rather skimpy in the paint department. And this guy is skimpy in the paint department too, but they picked just the right sort of shade of black to cast the figure in. And then there's a few things that they could have painted, like the grenades or some of the buckles and straps up top here. But you know what? This is really attention-getting. A second Arashikage symbol that is painted on this figure seems unprecedented for what we're getting with the other figures, and they also painted both of his belt buckles. So for a child 4 years old, or a little over 4 years old, and also the paint, I guess, on the visor as well, which is well done and looks fairly clean. They didn't have to go that far, and they didn't for most of the rest of them. But for Snake Eyes, even Hasbro knows, man, Snake Eyes is the bomb. He is the Arashikage bomb. He is the silent what? Silent assassin, silent warrior. I don't know. He doesn't talk much because he can't, because of reasons. But yeah, Just looking around the work table to see if I have any G.I. Joes to compare these guys to. I could have easily grabbed all 5 of these in classified form to compare them. But, oh, I'm so lazy. I'm so lazy. So, which one do you like here? Do you like any of these? Would you consider adding these to your collection? If you did, would you take them out of the packaging? Would you give them to a little kid and make them very happy? Do you consider them war toys and you have a strict no war toys for children policy in your home? I have known people like that, and I respect that. I'm not a fan of war, but sadly, I am a kind of a fan of war toys. It's a representation of the human experience. You get Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I mean, come on. Just for me, I find war toys acceptable. I don't remember ever buying war toys for our kids when they were, 4 plus. I don't think we did. I did buy an awful lot of Marvel Legends and the 5-inch Hasbro figures for my son. If they had ever asked, I guess, for one of these guys, I would have had to think about it and probably would have said yes. But at the time that they were growing up, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero was pretty much over, except in the minds of the people who grew up on it and the hardcore action figure collectors. I don't know. If my son, 6, 7, 8 years old had said, "Dad, I want a Storm Shadow," I mean, I wouldn't have said no to that. I got to be honest with you. I wouldn't have. So, yeah. Ooh, bonus drum roll. I think I've said all I have to say about the G.I. Joe Olympus series action figures from Hasbro. I am going to put them back where they were, which was under the circular table with my his tank and some classified figures and my Super 7 G.I. Joe Ultimates figures. It's a nice little, that one table has 6-inch Joes, it has 7-inch Joes, and it has these 9-inch Joes. And I've got the tape to prove it, baby. When I tell you it's 9 inches, they're 9 inches. Yep. All right, thank you for joining me for this G.I. Joe special edition of Action Figure Obsession. I do appreciate you stopping by. I always appreciate you stopping by. What is that on your leg, Storm Shadow? Oh my God, it's another feather. See, proof, my friends, that I actually dusted these bastards off. Thank you for joining me for this Action Figure Obsession. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up. If you hated it, leave a thumbs down. If you have a comment or a question, do you collect these guys? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the G.I. Joe Olympus series. Did you even know it exists? To the best of my knowledge, you'll only find out that it's called that if you look at the unopened crates of them, or in the case of Ollie's, the opened crates of them, the shipper boxes. It says Olympus series, so clearly that's the internal Hasbro name for it, but I don't think the word Olympus series appears anywhere on the box, and if it does, it's probably in the super tiny fine print. I was going to show you the back of the boxes, too. Do you want to see that? I'll show you those real quick. And I'll read you the write-up since it is actually short. It looks long, but it's in multiple languages. A one-man... Oh, it doesn't come with his tuning fork weapon like the classified one did. That's mean to show that, not have it. A one-man wrecking crew, Roadblock, lives up to his code name with exceptional strength and the courage to stand and face any threat. I've never done this before, my friends. Read you the back of the box, but I'm going to do it for this special G.I. Joe edition. Duke is the go-to squad leader, capable of command on any type of mission, and possibly the grandson of one of Hitler's minions. Did I say that? Conrad Hauser? I mean, how could he not be the grandson of them? Coco here, Cobra Commander, there he is. See, $9.99. Oh, Big Lots. Yeah, that's another store you can get them at, Big Lots. I got Coco and Roadblock came from Big Lots, and then the other ones either came, I think, from Walgreens or Ollie's. And again, there is a whole Marvel series of these, too. There's an Iron Man, Captain America, who else? Wolverine, Spider-Man, Black Panther. The big guys from the MCU movies, basically. Cobra Commander, the leader of Cobra, is the most treacherous and despicable criminal the world has ever known. And Cobra Commander may have written that himself, because if I had written it, it most certainly would have included the word cowardly. Yeah, Storm Shadow here, Tommy Arashikage. There he is. And Storm Shadow is an elite Cobra Ninja operative, and sometimes G.I. Joe. I'm telling you, it's true. That's why I have one in my G.I. Joe display too, in his good guy outfit. and an exiled member of the Arashikage ninja clan, one of Japan's legendary families. So there is Storm Shadow. I don't know if these are taken from or excerpted from the original G.I. Joe file cards, or if they are made up for these boxes. I'll know with this one, because I know what this guy's one says, because it's Snake Eyes, and I fucking love Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is a total mystery, but when it comes to G.I. Joe operations, I'm going to do that again. Snake Eyes is a total mystery, but when it comes to G.I. Joe operations, he's the best there is. Okay, that is taken from the file card. It's excerpted and edited, but that definitely is all that language, all that, what do they call it? Language. Verbiage. Yes, verbiage. That's what people who are trying to sound fancy say when they mean language. All that verbiage is direct from the Snake Eyes file card for Real American Hero Snake Eyes. It's just much shorter than they usually are. So they cut it down because, 4-year-olds are getting these for Christmas, and, you got to make it easy for them to understand. Yeah, so that's it. The G.I. Joe, Hasbro G.I. Joe Olympus series, Roadblock, Duke, a.k.a. Conrad Hauser, Cobra Commander, a.k.a. Coco, a.k.a. the Coward Commander, Tommy Arashikage, Storm Shadow, and, of course, the man, the legend, the myth. God damn, I love me some Snake Eyes. Just friggin' love them. One of these days, I'm going to get all 40 or 45 or so of my Snake Eyes figures right on this table. I'll dust them off and I'll show them to you. All 45 or so. I mean, that's including... Well, no, actually, it's probably over 50 with the Super 7 G.I. Joe Ultimates. But, that's a problem for another time, my friends. That is a problem for another time. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Action Figure Obsession. As I said, please like, comment, subscribe, share the video with anybody you know who might be interested in G.I. Joe. Maybe you'll be turning them on to something new to collect. Like I said, they're available, generally speaking, at stores like Big Lots, Ocean State, Job Lots is another place that I've seen these. Five Below and Walgreens. And what was there was one other one. There was one other one. I can't think. I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. Yeah. Hey, trivia question. Do you know who that's a quote from? I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. You know who that is? I bet you do. Maybe you do, if you're old and like old TV shows and movies, you might know who that was. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of Action Figure Obsession. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, Yo Joe!